All right, that looks better. And hopefully we're not as glitchy. Hello, everyone. Give me just 1 second to make sure that we're not glitchy. I just tried to start the video and it was pausing and stuff. And I'm just making sure that we're live. Looks like we are, but it might be glitching again. If you're out there, say hi and let me know that I'm doing okay. Yeah, it says 20, it says live, but it's flashing. What the heck does that mean? Boy, always something, don't you know? Let's see, I'm gonna put my hand here and just make sure that it's doing okay. And we can get started on some sneak peeks. Okay, I don't even see my hand. There we go. All right, it appears that we're okay, so we will give it a try. All right, hello everybody. Have you ever started with one thing and then switched to something else? You add one little thing and it's like, oh, let's go off in this direction. Squirrel. Well, that's kind of how my day went. So I'm going to show you something. And then this week, I will probably have a couple extra videos. I'm not sure when, probably Tuesday, Wednesday-ish, and Friday. And show you some more new stuff because I'm going to show you something that's new. But I don't have any artwork for it because that was this was my squirrel. All right, so I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. As always, thank you for shopping with me. I appreciate it. Keeps me going. All right, enough about that. So, here is the first product that I want to share. And this is what I do. I wanted to show you kind of my process. So, I'm going to look at that for a second while I grab the parts and pieces. And there's so many dies in here that I haven't even put them away. Look at that. All right, so when I first get a stamp set, to keep my life sane, I take out the little folder thing, I put the flap inside, and I write on it, this is coming out in March of 26. It is not associated with any suite, how much the stamps, the dies, and the bundle is, because remember, you always get a discount when you buy stamps and dies. Then I just take a picture of it on my computer, or, on my printer. I take a photocopy, so that way I know where everything goes. So it's easy to find stuff, and if you put it on the right way, it'll match up. So I know where everything goes, okay? So that's just kind of what I do. Part one. Part two is this has so many dies that I don't think that they're going to all go back on there too straight. So for now, I'll probably go back and switch it. And I do the same thing on this one. And I'm just going to stick those in there just so we don't lose anything, okay? Then I like to take a piece of paper and I like to stamp my stamped ones and die cut everything so I kind of have a nice look of what everything looks like. That way when I go to process and make something, I kind of have a visual. I'm very visual. I don't know about you. And I can look and see what the different parts are. Like I can stamp on this one, I can stamp on that one, that type of thing, right? Not to say that you can't just cut this out of this really cool paper we have coming. This is actually 2 pieces. This one is actually, it's going to die cut it. It's going to cut out this edge, but then these edges around it are going to stay on the cardstock, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. I just cut it all the way out. So it's meant to just have a little bit of a, so you could stick the pot underneath, okay? If you will. Lots of little flowers and tidbits. This is the little string on the tools. Now, when you get down here, I also like to put the words and stuff, but I noticed this is a handle. This is also a handle. And this is a handle. So you can decorate them pretty. And then you can put those on each of those. Maybe not this one. I'm not sure. Must be. I haven't played with it enough to know. Okay. But not that you couldn't use this as like a background, right? So that's what I do. And then I like to put them in a little binder. And then I have them. These ones are some older ones. And so then I just have it in here and I can look and see, oh, that would be perfect for Christmas, whatever, okay? Just started doing this, obviously. So this will be the next video. I will show you something with those. But squirrel, I pulled out this embossing folder, which is ladybugs. Hopefully you can see that. My screen has got some glare. It's kind of sunny out today. Right now it's not quite as sunny as it has been, but it is kind of sunny. It's supposed to be nice today. I'm hoping to get back out in the yard. How about you? Okay. I need to know where to go with this. All right. When you emboss it, it looks like this. And I wanted to show you what I just had an idea. Now remember, it's just a little bit of paper, a little bit of ink, and your time. So play with your products. You never know what cool technique you might come up with. Now this one I have kind of, put that away later. And I got a smaller piece so that way I could show you and hopefully it doesn't mess up. We're gonna bring in a little bit of scratch paper. We're gonna bring in, where is it? My smaller piece. And I am gonna be making a card today, don't worry. So here's my smaller piece. I'm using Memento Black, Poppy Parade, and Shy Shamrock. And we're just going to do the drag technique. I'm not sure what it's called. You are going to get your hands dirty. You are probably going to need to wash. But I wanted to do red. And I thought at first maybe a sponge dauber just on those spots. But then I thought, oh, let's just make it easier. So I am doing just this edge. So I'm kind of at an angle, if you will. Here's my paper. And I just want that edge, okay? And I'm not super heavy-handed with it. I'm kind of lightly-handed with it. I just want it across. And you can do as much as you want. This is a little piece, so you're going to have to turn it around. Like I said, you're going to get inky. And you just start coloring it in as dark or as light as you want. You could even go the other direction if you wanted. It is all up to you. Okay. And inky fingers, like I told you. So, bring in my little wash rag. Make sure I get rid of those. Now, you want to let that dry a little bit before you move on to this next step. So I'm going to wash off my fingers. And like I said, say hi if you're out there. I hope you like this technique. And we will move on. All right, so now I thought, well, that's cool. It's the red, right? But I'd really like to have some black. So I got the only Stampin' Writer that we have left, which is the black. And it might even be a journaling marker now. Not even sure if it has both sides, the brush side and the fine point. It's a 0.05. It even says right on there. How nice. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just color in parts of it. And hopefully you can see this. I will do one and then hold it up. Now, remember, if you just dot, it's going to be small. If you leave it, it's going to get bigger the more you leave it. Hopefully you can see that. So if you dot, leave it longer. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the head and the antenna. And then I'm just going to leave my pen on there for these bigger dots, a little bit longer. And then the smaller dots, I'm going to do a little bit smaller. Okay, that's all that I did. Let me show you. And you get an outline, right? A little black outline. All right, moving on. when you get it all done, you have this. Isn't that cool? So this piece that's going to be on our card is 3.5 by 3.5. Okay. I also have, oh, let me show you. I forgot to show you. I forgot to show you the lovely stamp set that we're using. Ooh, let's get rid of those. These I usually put, so we've got the sticky where the die is, and then we've got the little folder thing, and there's usually 2 pieces, so I stick that in there. That way I can see all of this and see all of this. Isn't that lovely? And yes, there is a printout, but it's behind here because this is, you know, solid. Same with the stamps, which you can see through a little bit better, which is here. And I use this piece and the die from this piece, not the stamp. So this one you can see a little bit better. It's dies and the cutout, or the printout. Okay? All right. If you want to know the numbers and stuff so you're ready on March 3rd, just let me know and I will get them to you. All right. So now I did cut out a word and stamped it in the green. And at first I thought about stamping it. Remember, Shy Shamrock is one of the end colors that's going to be leaving this year in March. So you have until April to get what you want. There is cardstock, paper, re-inkers, ink pads, gems. And so I pulled out this 6x6 that has 4 different patterns in all the 5 colors. And I thought about using this, but then I didn't like it, so I didn't. So I just stamped it in white, and I'm going to show you that next, how I colored that. So this is the one that we'll be using. And this is one that didn't quite stamp right down here. So I've got my, oh, and there's also blends in those 5 colors. This is not one of the 5 colors. And there's a light and a dark. And I just start with the light, and I just kind of tried to follow the brush lines, or the swoops, if you will. And I like to turn it upside down. I get better swoop capabilities, don't you know? So I just kind of did something like that. And then I went back. I'm going to leave the cap off because you need to do wet and dry. You know, you need to do it while it's wet when you want to blend a little bit better. And so I just went and did a little bit of the darker and just blended that out a little bit. So it just gave me a little bit of darker. And you could even put it at the beginning if you want, or at the, you know, the center, which are sometimes difficult. Especially when we get online, you just forget. And that just kind of blends them a little bit. Not that you have to, but if you want it a little bit more blended, give it time to dry. And you can color all of it in if you want. I just kind of tend to leave it a little bit of white. Don't forget your stem. Okay? So that's all there is to that. Same thing. It's paper and ink. Just play with it. All right. Now, that one goes bye-bye. I also got this Lazy Daisy embossing folder. It's a little bit bigger than the last one. And I just wanted, I know that I give you these tips a lot, but I really don't want you to break your tools. So this one is a little bit bigger. This one is more of card size. It's 4.5 by 6 1/4. And this one is 6 by, I believe, 6 1/4. Okay. They're both kind of dense. They're really embossed more than some. So they're more of a 3D emboss. I don't know if you could see that at all. Let me see. See, they're kind of bumpy. And again, I always do at least a white. Look at how pretty that is. But I don't know if you can see, it is very bumpy. So the rule on this is put your paper in, make sure that your Stampin' Up! Is facing you the right way. Then you know you're going to get it the positive way versus the negative where it's sunk in. So depending on what you want, that's how you know. And then I don't go over the edge. I don't go all the way up like that. I go right to where the image starts. And if you've got a smaller piece, this little black line down here is great for lining stuff up when you put it in. And if you want to do a shape, cut your shape out first, then emboss it. If you do it the other way around, that second time you emboss and you cut something out, it's going to flatten your 3D image, okay? And the last thing is always go with the fold side first. Don't back it up. Just go through once. If you feel like you need to do it again, pick it up and take the whole thing and do it again, your sandwich, okay? Because you don't want to break this off apart. That would not be fun. Okay, so here's part of our pieces of our card. And, oh, I also wanted to show you a bigger piece because this is where I went squirrel and I colored in the bigger piece and then I just started coloring it in. So that's why I wanted to show you the different, how I got this look. All right, so we are going to put the card together. So we've got a A2 size card. And we've got a piece of Poppy Parade in the 4 by 5 1/4. Let's get that on there. I always look at these 3 edges to get me centered. And then before I stick it down, I just kind of hold it and make sure I like it, okay? Then I took that daisy one. Now remember, this is really deep etched, right? So you want to use a lot of glue. I like to go around the edges so that way I know the edges get stuck down. And then a couple more swipes, okay? And then remember too, I cut this out at 3 3/4 by 5. And it's going to shrink a little bit, just slightly, like a 1/16 of an inch because of the emboss. It's going to shrink that paper in just a little. Again, I'm going to use my lines to measure. And I'm not liking the size. The other thing you can do is turn it over. It's got a little more top and bottom than it does side to side, so I know I've got adhesive on. But I'm going to take off just a little tiny bit. Maybe 1/4 of an inch. And that all stuck in the blade. We'll do that later. And now, let's put just a little, it is very sticky. Put a little bit more. All right. Let's see. I like that better. That's better. And a lot of times, just use your eyeball. If it's a little off, then trim it down. And like I said, it's going to be a little bit off anyway because it shrinks, right? But that's okay because we're going to put this piece over the top, so chances are we won't know. And I'm going to cut this one down just a little bit more. It is 3 1/2. I'm going to take it down by about, on the 2 sides, I'm going to take off about 1/8 of an inch. Go small. You can always cut some more. That's a little better. Maybe just a little bit more. So now I'm going to go 1/4 smaller. So it's going to be 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. Okay. Yeah, I like that better. And again, it is embossed, so we want to make sure that we give it some good stickum. Let's put this right about there. The other thing you can do is line up on your grid and use your grid lines to line up here and top and bottom. So I'm just going to do that. Bring in some dimensionals. Okay. And then I like to dry fit some of the pieces so that way I get what I want. And I've got this cute little die ladybug that I cut out. And I think I want it to go kind of like that with the little ladybug. I don't like that leaf doing that. How about this? There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take and put my leaf down first. If I can remember what I did. Close enough. And then I'm going to raise this word bundle up. Dim. Can't see around the camera too much, so I barely put it down so that way I have wiggle room. Let's make sure I'm up in the field. Yes. And use that line. Okay, so I've got that. Yes, it's straight. It just doesn't look straight. And this was just 2 pieces from the die. It's just the ladybug body and the red, okay? And you get these nice little circles. So I thought I'd use those. And I think I'll raise this one up. Okay. Let's raise. Okay, another good thing I like to do is take my tool and then I can kind of, I usually do it like this, but I'll do it like this for you guys. Maybe I'll stand up. Okay. And it just kind of helps you place your ladybug or whatever you want to place. And you just kind of, I think I want it that way. Okay. And then, because we got those nice little punchy parts right there, I thought it would be fun to use some of these as our dots. Right? Hate it when they don't go the right way around. Come on, flip over. And of course, you're not going to do it because I'm on camera. All right, we'll just do it that way. And you could even, if you wanted to, that's the little one right here is a perfect size for there. So you could go back and do those. This one's a little bit big, but it would work too. And remember, I like to do a triangle. So I don't think you really see that much there. I've got a little boo-boo there. So I think I'll put it there. There we go. All right. So let's get some green glue for that. Gives us a little wiggle time. You can pick it up with this. Put your, ooh, that came out a lot. So I'm just gonna take some of that away. It's nice because it will dry. And I put it upside down. Boy, I'm batting 1,000 today. Okay, here we go. That one. Sometimes your glue will do that. It'll get primed and it'll shoot out a lot rather than a little. That's okay. We know how to fix it. Use your fingers. Best tools you got, right? Okay. Now, there we go. And you could put shinies, you know, you could put shiny gems if you want. It's all up to you. But that is the card that I have for you today with all the pretties that we did. And I'll hold it up for you. Little Wink of Stella on here would be cute. Doesn't look like I got my words quite right. If you're very gentle, and the bumps help, You can straighten it out a little bit. There we go. I hope. Maybe. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, there's your card. Do you like it? And if I get time, I'll make something else and maybe show you a shape with the 3D dies or the 3D embossing folders. And I hope you have a great weekend, everyone. I will see you in just a few days instead of a week. So look for me, like I said, about Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even both days. Bye, everyone.